So we traveling without the real ID today. So let's see what the process is like. I will tell y'all, keep y'all updated. I do not have the real ID. Yes, I did apply for it. Yes, I do have a passport, but I lost that too. So yeah, we're gonna see. I'm in Sacramento, leaving out right now, and I'll keep y'all updated. So we in the line, and we're gonna see what this is like, you know. We in the line right now, and we're gonna see what it's like. And y'all know people be looking at you when you put your phone up. But anyway, we're gonna see what it's like and see what they say. So we almost up here. We can see what they say. All right, I didn't have to go back home. It's simple. This is what we're doing. We put my stuff down. And just like that, I'm through. It was, all they had to do was scan my hand, like do a little scan test, test my hand for whatever they were testing it for, maybe bomb, powder, something like that. I have no idea. But all they did was just wipe my hand with a little pad, test it, and send me on through. Wasn't nothing extravagant. So you can travel without your real ID for right now.
Yeah, we finna go through TSA. I wish me luck. I'm gonna see if they let me in. I got my regular ID. We finna see, y'all. Hold on. And she high as hell. You about to piss. Y'all do too much. All he did was tell me to get my real ID. Like, no extra questions, no nothing. And well, she got her passport, but girl, y'all do a lot. Be cool.
I already made a video on this, but I'm making another one because it seems like a lot of people do not know this. If you do not have your passport, I recommend getting it, but if you don't have it, you need your real ID. If you are planning to travel domestically, flying state to state, you will need your real ID if you do not have a passport. If you are planning on traveling by boat for any reasons, cruises, you will need a real ID. And also, if you are going to federal government facilities, then you will also need your real ID. Now, if you have a passport, this doesn't apply to you, but I still would recommend getting it, though not necessary. But yes, y'all, the real ID is not only for boat and for federal government facilities. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about only those two things. You will need it to domestically fly. Passports are often associated with international, which makes sense, obviously, and you can use it for domestic too. But if you do not have a passport and you think you're about to hop on a flight and fly to a different state, you are mistaken. And I also believe that if you have a military ID, then you are all set. You will not need the real ID. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but yes.
So I checked my bag. We'll see if I can get through with no real ID. So I'm all good. They hand you this little slip and they swab your hands with like this thing that looks like a Band-Aid, honestly. And it took 30 extra seconds. So you're good.
So let me explain something to you. If you're from New York City, if you were born and raised in this city, if you are a New York native, I want to let you know that New York is cooked. I love this place. I grew up here. I made my bones here. But I'm telling you right now, there is not a restaurant open past 11 o'clock in Manhattan on a Saturday night. And I don't know if that transpired during the 2020 nonsense that took place, the fear-mongering, the cost of rent, the politics. I'm tired of hearing about the politics and all the other nonsense. The bottom line is New York is not New York. Whatever you think is New York just lives in your mind. It's not there anymore. Not only that, it's just the crowds are different. I mean, the clubs that I saw driving through, just trying to grab a bite to eat somewhere, it was very interesting. The only place open that was serving was like Cat's Deli and pizzerias and plenty of halal carts everywhere. And the people, yeah, listen, I can mingle with anyone, but they're weird.
So y'all know them travel advisory reports that the United States loves to push out, basically telling us to not go to certain places because they're violent or it's not safe. Yeah, so the Department of Commerce has now issued a report showing a growing list of countries advising their citizens to not come to the United States, to not come and visit the United States. Yeah, now we are not the safe country. So I'm reading from an article that you can find on Forbes.com, right? So it says that the United States government reported a double-digit overall drop in international arrivals last month, with much bigger losses coming from Canada, Mexico, and lucrative Western Europe markets, suggesting foreign tourists are staying away in significant numbers due to the tariff backlash and even harsher immigration tactics. So I'm just going to read off some of these statistics. So in the Caribbean, they have seen a 26% drop from visitors and tourists. Africa, 10% drop. South America, 11% drop. Central America, 24% drop. Asia is a 1% drop. And now the two largest governments, or the two largest European markets, the United Kingdom is down 15%, and then Germany is down 29%. These governments are telling their citizens to not come over to the United States, not visit the United States, in fear that ICE agents will detain their citizens and not bring them back to their native land, which we see is the case here in this administration. If they come here, God forbid, get detained by ICE, ICE will not allow them to prove that they're visiting, will not allow them to prove their visas. They will most likely send them to a detention center and then ship them over to El Salvador's mega prison, just like they did with that teenage New York Bronx kid that's actually from Venezuela. Instead of deporting him to his native country, they deported him to the mega prison. Yeah, that's what they don't want to happen, because if that happens, there's no way for people, their actual family and their government to even be made aware of what's going on, because ICE agents will not inform nobody. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was actually questioned on this yesterday during a press conference, to which she said, I haven't even seen the report. I haven't even seen the report. As the White House Press Secretary, is that not your job? Is that not your job to be aware and to manage the reputation of the government? Instead, she decided to say, while I haven't seen the reports and I would have to read it in order for me to effectively comment, I do believe that the administration that we're in right now is so much safer and so much better than the one that we were in previously 4 years ago. So I don't know why they would be advising their citizens to not come over here. It's because of this administration's policy and their harsh immigration tactics. That's why. These are tourists that often have to come over here on a visa. ICE agents are not allowing people to even prove their legal status. Why the fuck would anybody come over here? Just so you know, the United States makes $2 trillion in tourism. $2 trillion that we're starting to lose now. And that $2 trillion is tied up in the United States GDP, which is part of the reason why the US dollar is the world's reserve currency. That goes down. I think you know where I'm going with this. So now, thanks to this administration and all of its dumb policies, we are facing a possible recession, inflation. The entire world globally is laughing and mocking our democracy and our government. We are now starting to lose profit that we make on tourism. And as a New York City native, I'm not gonna lie, we could use a little less tourism here in New York City. But overall, for American economy, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Maybe if this administration wasn't too worried with trying to rack up and rally as many free slaves to ship over to that mega prison in El Salvador, we wouldn't have to be dealing with this. Just saying.
So as we all know, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen the news about how Vegas is dying, specifically the tourist side of it. And obviously I'm not old enough to have had experience old Vegas, but by the sounds of it from every person that I've talked to that's way older than me, it sounds amazing. It sounds immaculate. Everything was so cheap. But I am old enough to remember a little bit of it, you know, of it being way cheaper. I was in high school, maybe I don't know, 6-7 years ago, and I remember when a lot of people would come out of town to specifically have their bachelor parties, and all these other kind of things when they turned 21, because it was obviously cheaper. The hotels were cheaper, the food was cheaper, alcohol was cheaper. You could go to the ABC store and probably get, you know, a little drink for I don't know, $2.99. And now you go into the ABC store for a buzz ball and it's like $5.99. I don't know, just an example. Well, obviously everything's gonna be a little bit more expensive on the strip or whatever, which is like kind of understandable, but back then it was way cheaper. And I think that's what Vegas needs to go back on. Cheaper hotel rooms, cheaper food, cheaper alcohol, because you're telling me, and I mean, if I didn't live in Nevada, I would not come to Vegas at all, unless like it was just like for like a work trip or something, family, whatever. Because I'm not about to spend $17.99 on a drink. I mean, I have, but I'm just saying, like, I would not like willingly go out there and spend $17.99 on a drink. It's absolutely insane. It really is. So I see why Vegas tourism is dying, because the strip sucks. I mean, I've never really been a fan of the strip, I'll be honest with you. I think most locals. But it used to be fantasy land for a lot of these tourists. So it's kind of sad to see it being empty. And especially if there's so many layoffs that are going on, especially if MGM started it, because MGM started everything from the ground up in Vegas. If they start it, all the rest of the casinos are going to follow. So it's kind of sad to see a lot of people lose their jobs. Not even that, but I will say I think a lot of people are going to downtown Las Vegas, Fremont, Arts District area way more than the Strip. And personally, I like that area way more, and I think a lot of people can agree with me on that. But I don't know. It is just kind of sad to see.
$12.5 billion in expected lost revenue here across the United States. That is the result of Trump's crazy tariffs and all this other crap that he's pulling on everybody. Look at Canadians alone. 30% of travel that Canadians had planned in the United States this year has been canceled. Same thing for Europe. Nobody is traveling to the United States now. They're afraid to. People are afraid to travel to the United States. They think something will happen to them here because they're not citizens and whatever. And vice versa. A lot of Americans, especially people who are here on visas, permanent visas and whatnot, even though they have every legal right to live here, they fear that they will not be able to get back into the country when they take a trip. So travel revenue to Europe is predicted to be way down. All of this is a result of Trump. Trump, the man who is going to create jobs, who is going to, slash our budgets and just make America great again. He's destroying it. $12.5 billion. That's how much money we are going to lose in revenue across the United States this year alone. $12.5 billion. So if you have an Airbnb, if you own a hotel, a bed and breakfast, anything related to travel and relying on tourism dollars coming here into the United States, you're going to have a really rough year. Everybody, a very rough year. Buckle up. We got to get rid of these clowns because it's only going to get worse.
Breaking news. These are the 12 countries Donald Trump just banned from traveling to the United States. Number 12 is Afghanistan, and I don't think they were traveling here in the first place anyway. Number 11, Burma or Myanmar. I thought it was just Myanmar. I thought Burma was like an old school name. Number 10, Chad. Number 9, Republic of the Congo. Number 8, Equatorial Guinea. Number 7, Eritrea. Number 6, we got Haiti. They're not gonna bring the voodoo curse here from Haiti. I like the Haitians. Number 5, Iran. I also don't think they were traveling here much in the first place. Number 4, Libya, although we do have some Iranian neighbors that are wonderful. Number 3, Somalia. No pirates coming here anymore. Somalian pirates. Number 2, Sudan. And they said, God, this is so sudden. We can't come from Sudan. I don't know what I'm saying. If you like this list and want more about other nonsense, follow me. Leave me a comment with your thoughts on the travel ban. Also follow my wife, Samantha, who I've tagged. Number 1, one of the most dangerous countries in the world, Yemen.
How bad is really Vegas economy? Because the stratosphere, which is now called the Strat, straight ahead, the hotel directly that you're looking at, is trying to pay people to stay there. Literally, they are trying to give you money to stay at their hotel. That's how bad Vegas economy is. That is crazy. They just released a package that says the Strat Summer of Value package that has $49 flat rate, all inclusive, resort fees, taxes, everything included, $49. But get this, they give you back $25 in dining credit every day, daily. It's not one time $25. And then complimentary admission to the Strat Towers. That is another $25 in value for two people, $50. Basically, they charge you $49 flat rate, but they give you back $75 in value just for staying at their hotel. They're literally, at this point, they are literally begging people like, please come back. Please stay at our hotel. Not only the Strat, by the way, Resorts World, which always charged for parking, now they are offering complimentary parking for all Vegas locals. And get this, Caesar's Palace, of all the places, Caesar's Palace is offering complimentary parking for all the locals. They're out of control pricing on everything, food, drink, every single thing, as well as extremely aggressive tipping culture is pushing people away, man. It is pushing everybody away from Vegas. And now they are begging people to return.
Thank you for watching, and please be sure to follow.
Well, breaking fuck the news. Hawaii will become the first state to charge a new green fee. Basically what this is when you book a hotel in Hawaii and you're vacationing in Hawaii, you're going to get charged a percentage of a tax in order to combat climate change in Hawaii. So if you go to Hawaii and you're getting a hotel, the price is going to be more because they're going to get taxed.
So United States tourism is plummeting in the billions of dollars, that is. And you know how folks often tell international communities how much they need our tourism dollars? A lot of Americans forget that their own cities thrive off of tourism. In 2023 alone, the United States travel and tourism market contributed to $2.36 trillion. And the cities and states that rely heavily on hotel taxes, sales taxes, and other tourism related fees, less tourism for you means less funding in education, transit, and infrastructure in your city or state.
The travel bans are back, but there are exceptions. If you're an American citizen filing for your spouse, your children under 21, or your parents, the travel bans do not apply to you or to your family. If you're from a banned country but already have a visa, you'll still be allowed into the United States. So if your tourist visa doesn't expire for 6 more years, you can keep traveling into the U.S. for the next 6 years. You worry about renewing it in 6 years from now. If you're currently in the United States on a non-immigrant visa, you can change your status to a new non-immigrant visa status. And if you're in the United States of America and you apply for a green card through any mechanism and you're eligible to adjust your status, you'll get your green card through adjustment even with the travel ban. If your work is in the national interest, you'll get a green card, even with the travel ban. And if you're a special immigrant visa applicant from Afghanistan who assisted the U.S. government, you'll get a visa as well. If you already have a green card, you don't have to worry about travel bans, even if you're from one of the affected countries. For a list of all the countries with travel bans, read the description below.
So I'm sure you heard about the raids going on in LA, the ICE raids that are happening as we speak in Los Angeles. Well, I'm their next door neighbor. I'm in Las Vegas. And either way, that stuff's going to affect us. It's the weekend here. It's the time all the tourists come from California and different parts, but mostly California, to spend the weekend in Las Vegas. Well, it's bad enough that we've lost some Canadian tourists because of the whole tariff thing. It looks like we're going to be losing some California tourists because of the whole ICE thing. If you don't know, there's a little checkpoint from Las Vegas to LA California, or from California to Las Vegas. I'm sure you run into that checkpoint when you've come here. Well, ICE is there. ICE is currently there. The line is backed up way the heck. I don't know how many miles, because they're checking every vehicle that's coming into Las Vegas or going out of Las Vegas. All right. And supposedly there's been some roundups happening there, and either the people are turning back to California or they're just turning back to Las Vegas. They're not going through that checkpoint if they don't have the correct documents. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if you run into it. Please let me know in the comments if you have. But you think tourism is bad in Las Vegas right now? Well, it's about to get worse, folks.
America's tourism crisis nobody's talking about. Foreign visitors are abandoning the U.S. in record numbers, and it's costing billions. Oxford Economics predicts an $8.5 billion drop in international visitor spending this year, while the World Travel and Tourism Organization estimates an even more alarming $12.5 billion loss. The proof? Flight bookings to the U.S. between May and July have already plummeted by over 10%. This isn't just a blip, it's a trend with massive economic consequences. While other destinations flourish, America is losing its appeal to global travelers. What's driving this exodus? And can the U.S. tourism industry recover before it's too late? America's tourism crisis nobody's talking about. Foreign visitors are abandoning the U.S. in record numbers, and it's costing billions. Oxford Economics predicts an $8.5 billion drop in international visitor spending this year, while the World Travel and Tourism Organization estimates an even more alarming $12.5 billion loss. The proof? Flight bookings to the U.S. between May and July have already plummeted by over 10%. This isn't just a blip, it's a trend with massive economic consequences. While other destinations flourish, America is losing its appeal to global travelers. What's driving this exodus? And can the U.S. tourism industry recover before it's too late?
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.
We don't want them.
President Donald Trump has signed a new travel ban that will block people from several countries from traveling to the United States. It will fully restrict entry by nationals from 12 countries, including Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Eritrea, Iran, and Yemen. And people from 7 other countries, including Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, and Venezuela, will be partly restricted.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them.
The administration cites a number of reasons countries were chosen for the ban, including a large-scale terrorist presence, failure to cooperate on visa security, and a persistently high rate of visa overstays. President Trump says more countries could be added to the travel ban list as new threats emerge. The ban is set to take effect this Monday.
A year ago, May, I looked and I was averaging 20 people on this tour.
And today we had
5. 6. We had 6.
The travel industry is bracing for what is shaping up to be a really tough year. They're expecting to lose some $12.5 billion, that's with the B, billion dollars in revenue this year. What's the reason why? Well, international travelers are avoiding the United States. And nowhere is that more apparent than right here in New York City, where they're expecting a 17% drop in international travelers this year. Right now, the United States in some ways is a tough sell. What do you think it's going to take to bring back the overseas, the international tourists?
Well, change of attitude toward tariffs.
In this climate, guides like Renee Wawiski, who leads historical walking tours, are now worried about their future.
I'm not sure what we can do. I'm not sure how to change the attitudes, but just know people are losing their jobs in New York City.
What would you say the outlook is?
I'm not sure. In June, I have 1 tour so far. I'm used to working 3 days a week, 2 tours a day, up until a couple months ago.
Are there any other Aussies that are thinking about cancelling their trip to the US? Because I have a trip coming up to New York in December, and I'm getting really nervous seeing all these stories about people being detained and held for 16 days in jail cells, and I know it's very unlikely. There's still enough time for me to cancel my trip and reschedule or go somewhere else entirely. So is that the consensus? Is that what people are doing?
At Bellagio,
Look how dead it is. Vegas is not the same.
Trump's tariffs and political rhetoric are already impacting a multi-billion-dollar industry, tourism.
The bulk of my specific tour guests come from Canada. Every single trip so far has 0 bookings.
They said they just didn't want to spend their money here in the United States.
That's Megan Murad and Kelly Kopp. They're both New York City tour guides who have had multiple tours from Canadian visitors canceled. Tour guides across the country are hearing the same thing. Canadians specifically citing Trump's policies like making Canada the 51st state as the reason for the change of travel plans.
Canadians make up the largest number of foreign travelers to the United States. 20.4 million of them visited the United States last year, which generated $20.5 billion in spending, which supported 140,000 jobs. The U.S. Travel Association says that a decrease of 10% of that tourism will cost $2.1 billion and cut 14,000 jobs.
The 5 most visited states by Canadians are Florida, California, Nevada, New York, and Texas. And this decline is trickling down to the airlines. Canadian airlines are cutting thousands of seats on U.S.-bound flights this month.
In terms of my personal losses, it's at least $400 a week. One of my top weeks in tourism, I could be making $2,000, $3,000 a week specifically through Canadian tourism. And I have a relatively small boutique business.
Beyond Canada, Trump's policies and target on longtime allies are causing European countries to issue travel advisories. Portugal, Denmark, and Finland warned its citizens of coming to the U.S. because of Trump's attack on transgender rights. Germany and the U.K. also warned its citizens because of the U.S.'s immigration crackdown. And all of these changes have already caused Oxford's tourism to amend their U.S. travel forecast for this year. The U.S. was originally expected to see an 8.8 growth in tourism, but now it's set to see a 5.1 decline.
People ask me questions, where to go, what show to go see, what restaurants to go see. They want to spend their money here in New York City. It's a big part of our country's income.
Right now, the United States is slated to host the Summer Olympics, World Pride, the World Cup. And I foresee all of those events happening. But as these major events that bring in a lot of tourists, these large organizations are going to choose to not book, to not use the United States as a hosting venue, which will impact tourism in a negative way.
A decline of tourists means a decline in spending on U.S. businesses, which means Main Street will soon be feeling the impact in the decline of travel.